These are the plaintiffs, Nadisha West and Keith Salvador Carlos Gonzalez. They say their time living in the defendant's place was a living nightmare, and they have some nerve keeping their security deposit when they're the ones out money. Bottom line, they caused no damages, did nothing wrong, and are owed $1,350, just what they're suing for today. These are the defendants, Shayna and Auxili. They say the plaintiffs treated their house like a pigpen. And if anyone's owed money today, it's certainly not the plaintiffs. They're the ones owed money. And they hope the judge sees things their way today in court. They're accused of holding on tight to the plaintiff's money. The defendants have filed a countersuit for $426 for additional damages.
All parties, please hit your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiffs are suing because they can't get their money back because the landlord is lying about damages they allegedly caused. But the defendants claim the plaintiffs treated their beautiful place like a pigpen, and they're the ones who are still owed money. It's the case of, you crooks, give us back our loot.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
All right. So, Ms. West and Mr. Gonzalez, you are suing Shayna and Auxili for your security deposit back because, according to you, they had no right to keep a penny of it. You, on the other hand, are counterclaiming because you say your damages are even beyond the security deposit. So let's hear from you first. How long were you living there, Ms. West and Mr. Gonzalez?
For a year.
Okay. And what caused you to leave?
We left because of the schooling and the infestation of rodents.
When did you first notice the infestation of rodents?
In November.
And did you tell the landlord about it?
Yes, Judge.
And did she respond to it? Did she take care of it?
She sent her husband over to try to catch them. They would come and move up the furnitures. It was beyond ridiculous. Her husband came, her sons came. They would come to my home trying to catch the rats. They bring poison.
Well,
it was...
Oh, okay. I was going to say, you kind of have to bring the poison. You can't really just sit around trying to lasso the rats. You know, I mean, that's not going to work. I don't know how big those rats were, but okay. And what? And it just couldn't get under control?
No, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. So in any event, you decide to leave. You're not breaking your lease or anything. You decide to leave, and you do a walkthrough. And she doesn't mention any complaints during the walkthrough, but a lot of times landlords don't. They don't want to get into a fight with you in person. It's awkward. You just silently do the walkthrough. But then in the end, she ended up keeping they ended up keeping your entire deposit. So let me hand the floor to you, Shayna and Auxili. Why?
Because of damage to the property. How you doing, Judge? I'm sorry. Damage to the property for paint. They received that property free of pests and any infestation.
All right. You folks actually took pictures of the house before move-in, and I've got those, which is very, very helpful. And so you're showing me the condition of things when you handed it over to them. This is great. Where'd you learn to do that? Watching People's Court, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Judge, that home was empty. There were no roaches, there were no rats, there were nothing, no infestation, nothing before they moved into the property.
Well, but that could happen. You don't have a rat infestation, and then one day you do. I mean, do you have any evidence that that's their fault? I mean...
No, I wasn't saying it was their fault, but they were saying that they got the house that way. That's what it sounded like.
No, she said November, and I know that she got the house in August. I asked her when did the rat start. She said November. All right, so the house definitely looks like it was handed over in very, very good condition. Now, let me see how you guys left it when you moved out. Let's start here. All right, what is this?
That is the front entry.
What happened here, guys? Ms. West and Mr. Gonzalez, do you know?
Yes, Your Honor. That scratches on the paint. They painted the floors. So when her husband came over, moving my furnitures out of my living room, supposedly trying to catch the rats with her sons.
This looks like something fell on this. Is this painted concrete, folks? Shayna?
Yes,
Is this
it
painted
is.
concrete?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
It's painted with the type of-
right. So that often peels, painting concrete
Right.
often peels. But what do you think happened there that would be their fault?
the paint that was a that's the type of paint that you put in the garage. And it doesn't scratch easily. But
Okay. What happened to the blinds, Ms. West and Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, Judge. So we changed out all the blinds. The ones that we were unable to change out, we left with Miss Shayna, and asked her if she could have her husband finish placing them inside due to the fact that we didn't have any drill to put them in. And she said it was okay, and we left the blinds with her.
Okay. Now, you withheld $300 for blinds. Can you prove that you spent $300 replacing blinds?
we had to replace every blind in the house, Your Honor. And
They were all
including
broken? Every blind
they
in the
were
house
all-
was broken?
every single blind was broken or missing the slides or was written on. They were cut, they were taped up. She made a comment that she got the house that way. I have the images there, Your Honor, of all the blinds in the house.
Yeah. What's that? What am I looking at there?
That, and also the other cabinets where you just passed, they had all of the cabinet shelving down and covering the damaged base of the cabinets.
Okay. What is this a picture of?
That's the air vent underneath that's the exhaust for when you're over the stove. That's the stove.
Right.
It was not clean.
What's the
before
problem
they
with the
left.
stove?
It was dirty.
Okay.
They did not clean it. We had to get it cleaned.
Okay. You withheld money for the refrigerator. What was the problem with the refrigerator?
Your Honor, in August, they got a new refrigerator. She sent me a text that the fridge is not cooling. No questions asked. We just went ahead and got another one and collected the other one. And that was a brand new refrigerator. And when we got it back from them, it was dented, scratched, rusted, and broken shelf inside.
What's going on with the walls here?
That's their paint job, Your Honor. Blinds.
Well, here are more blinds. What are you showing me in this picture?
It's just the rodents. I took pictures of the whole house.
The droppings.
After these. No, not droppings. Those were roaches.
Roaches?
Yes, ma'am. There were no evidence of any rats after they left. We had a service and no one ever caught the rats.
Okay, what's going on here? Did you guys try to paint Ms. West and Mr. Gonzalez?
No, actually, I didn't try to paint that area. That area was already like that.
And
They
just
handed
to
you the
add,
place like
Honor-
that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Orsini, is this the way you guys handed the apartment to them?
No, Judge.
No, ma'am. We did not paint that. That is I went right back in after they left for the from the walkthrough, and after they pulled out a driveway, I went back in and took the pictures.
I'm looking at the paint job from before, in the before pictures, and I realize it's not the same angle, but
You can see it.
yeah. And these are your before pictures. Now I'm looking at this picture right here, and I'm going to compare it to the before picture because I can see the paint roll right there on the left of the door. Let's see what happens when we look at the before pictures in that hall. And I am not seeing it on the left of the door, what it is that I see there.
Do you have a case that you want Judge Milian to hear? Call us here at 888-505-6950 or email us cases@peoplescourt.com.
Welcome back to the People's Court. We've heard this one before. The plaintiffs are saying they treated this place as their own. There was no damage. Landlord is saying these people were a mess. Let's go back into the courtroom.
You see over the door that it looks like it's two different shades of the paint, like somebody painted it but didn't feel like painting the whole wall?
Your Honor, that's the shadow. The home had no power. That is the shadow, Your Honor.
Yeah, you're right. There is a straight edge wall right in front of it. I don't know. Now this, honestly, if someone hands you an apartment like that, first of all, anytime that you rent an apartment, the first thing you should do is videotape and photograph every single thing wrong with it, because you don't want to get blamed for it. But it's hard for you to say this is how it was. Now I'm looking at this picture right here, and I'm going to compare it to the before picture because I can see the paint roll right there on the left of the door. Let's see what happens when we look at the before pictures in that hall. And I am not seeing it on the left of the door, what it is that I see there. All right. We're looking at $606 for the painting. We're looking at the fridge damage. And I'm looking at the stuff that you are keeping for, and I do agree with her on a lot. I think the cleaning fee is excessive. I think you're not responsible for, I've painted concrete floors a million times, even with that epoxy stuff that's supposed to be so great, it chips through no fault of the people living there. But the fridge and the painting and the blinds, and some cleaning and the kitchen cabinet, that stuff costs money. And if it wasn't handed to you that way, that's not what we call normal wear and tear. So I did my own calculations. It's only slightly less than the security deposit. It's certainly, you've got a counterclaim for an additional $426. That's not going to happen. I find that the damages are $1,206, which means that you need to return to the plaintiffs $144. That is my judgment. Good luck, folks.
So the plaintiffs prevail. They're only going to get $144 back, not the $1,300 they were seeking. Shayna and Osani, you and your son were going over to help them catch rats, is the way they put it. Were you doing that? How do you go catch a rat? What do you do?
No, I didn't.
No, they were looking for the evidence and see if they found entry points. We had a professional that came out to do a service, and we have a 1-year warranty. They know that.
Okay. All right. I thought he had some tricks on what you do to catch a rat.
No.
All right. Let's talk to Ms. West and Mr. Gonzalez. You're getting, a very small amount back. What do you feel about that?
There is a home that's next to the home that was poorly kept, that is infested with rats that was running around in the yard. And that's how they got into the home and damaged a lot of my products in the home that Ms. Shane is aware of. But it's okay. I'll pray for her.
Well, you do that. I'm sorry. You're only going to get a little over $100 back. That's the judge's decision, and unfortunately, you're going to have to live with it. Okay? Thank you very much.
You have a good one. Thank you.
All right.
Well, the defendant may not have any tricks or tips for catching rats, but I know a guy who does.
Yes, funny you should mention that. I'm listening to this case and they mentioned rat infestation and they had some photos of rats and that sort of thing. And it brought me back because in the early 80s and the mid 1980s, I was living in Boston with 4 roommates. We got a rat infestation in the building. And it happened because we were right near the Fenway Park subway stop. And the city of Boston ran out of the budget for apparently rat poison and extermination that year. So they came storming out of the subway right next to our apartment. And they really hit the apartment pretty hard. We were killing a rat every 3 or 4 days at one point in our kitchen. While you were cooking, they'd run by your feet, and we usually would kill them with a hockey stick or a golf club. And the rat exterminator finally came after a few weeks, and he said, he told me a little bit about rats. He said a rat can chew through concrete or steel. Their incisors are harder than steel, and they grow throughout their lifetime. He said they can climb right up the building was brick. He said they can climb straight up a 3 or 4 story building up the brick vertically. He just was going on and on because he loved his work, and his work was rats, and it was interesting. So part of me, I feel for them having to deal with the rats, and at some point pests are unavoidable. Mice and sometimes rats are going to get into buildings. You can't stop it.
So Scotty wants to know this. Hey, Harvey, my brother owes me money for a trip I paid for, and he hasn't paid me back. I have a huge bill on my credit card I can't pay. I don't want to sue him, but what other choices do I have? Well, the choice you have is to try and mediate or reason with him. But if he's not going to reason, normally I don't like suing a relative, but if this guy is just saying, screw you, I think you got to teach him a lesson and go to court. You shouldn't have to front the bill you don't owe.